Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Wrexham Texan. My name is Jake Green. Thank y'all so much for joining me today for this episode review of season 3, episode 6, Far Away, So Close. Loved the episode. I like seeing people from all over the world coming together in that kind of way. So we're going to get to that. But before we do, something has arrived in the mail. I custom ordered. So for those of you who watch this show or listen to it, rather than having a man of the year, player of the year, whatever, I do Texan of the year because I think that's a higher honor. I think it's just one level above player of the year is Texan of the year. So the winner from this year was Mr. Elliot Lee. And rather than having a trophy, I had a custom made Texas size belt buckle crafted for him. And that is what it looks like. I mean, this thing's huge. It's as big as my hand if my hand was in a fist. Elliot Lee, Texan of the Year, League 2, 2023-2024. And on the back, it says from the Wrexham Texan. So we're going to mail this out this week. Hopefully, actually, it'll probably be in a couple weeks because I'm leaving town today. But yeah, we're going to mail this out to the club. Hopefully, we're going to try to get it in the right hands so that he can receive it. And we'll see if he responds to it. But I mean, what an honor for him. What an honor for him to receive. It's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. The folks who made this did a fantastic job. Molly's what is it? Molly's Custom Silver is the name. If you want to get your own, I mean, look how big that thing is. Like that, there's my fist, and there's the there's the belt buckle. So yeah, maybe we'll see Mr. Elliot Lee wearing this around the town of Wrexham someday. So yeah, that should go in the mail this coming month, and hopefully he'll receive it soon after that. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We are going to review the season 3, episode 6 episode of Welcome to Wrexham. We're going to make it a little quick today because there was a lot of it that was just playing old games that we kind of just blew through them, and it was the worst time of the season. It was the time where we were losing, we were tying, we weren't ever winning, and it was the most painful time of the year. But we're going to talk about that here in a minute. It starts off with us blowing it versus Tranmere. Goodness gracious, Tranmere on Arthur's birthday celebration. Absolutely terrible. That was one of the worst games. Blowing it at home. Yeah, we're not going to dwell on that. In fact, we're not going to dwell on most of the losses that this episode detailed. Then I love these stories where the town of Wrexham branches out across the world. And I had no idea that 153 people left the town of Wrexham back in the day, or left the country of Wales and sailed around the world all the way down to Patagonia, to Argentina. I've actually not yet been to Argentina. Would love to go to Patagonia. So maybe when that happens, I got to meet up with the Patagonia Reds. But we meet a few folks down there, David, Rocio, and dadgummit, I forgot to write his name down. The other guy. Forgot. Sorry, buddy. I'll try to get that better next time. But it was really, really cool to see that they've kept the Welsh language a thing. Like they keep learning the Welsh language down in Argentina for decades, centuries. That's incredible, especially considering most of them, it seems, have never actually been to Wales, have never been to Wrexham, and they keep teaching the Welsh language anyway. I mean, how cool is that? That's unbelievable. If you want more proof that like the Welsh language will never die, just look at that little case study. Like just a group of super passionate people. Started off with 153. Obviously, the town has grown. They got there, and there was nothing there to begin with, and they just set up shop and grew a civilization that is part uh, Spanish, part Argentinian, and part Welsh. That that's unbelievable. That is such a cool story. I feel like there's an awesome movie to be made just out of that story. Uh, I would be very interested in learning more about how that all worked, about their trials and tribulations once they got there, because Patagonia is not an easy place to live. It's stunningly beautiful in a lot of places, but man, Patagonia gets friggin' cold during the winters. And back in that time period, I can only imagine how difficult it was for them to survive out there. So, yeah, unbelievable part of the story. And then, it ends with we find out that Rob and Ryan are flying three of them over to Wales to watch to watch a Wrexham game, which is unbelievable. And we'll get to that a little bit later. And then we go to another country. We go to the Gambia, where Jacob Mindy has been selected for his national team, which, what a cool thing. What an honor. And when they show the Gambia on the map, you can see it. I mean, it's a tiny little sliver of Africa, just a tiny little sliver. Um, and the fact that Jacob Mendy came from there, gets to play for his country is pretty unbelievable. I mean, that's got to be dream come true for basically any football player that grows up playing, dreaming of playing in professional football. Um, yeah, I mean, I know that I grew up hoping to, play on the U.S. national basketball team. That didn't pan out for me whatsoever. Uh, but yeah, Jacob Mindy getting to live his dream, and then we, before he leaves, we have a great moment between him and Millie. Millie telling him exactly what all of us were thinking: don't get injured, don't get sick, score some goals, and come back healthy. That's that's exactly what we were all thinking when Mendy got selected for the Gambia national team, and he did exactly that. I mean, he didn't. I don't think he scored any goals. Did he score any goals? I can't remember at this point. But yeah, we fly down to the Gambia, or no, we fly down to Ivory Coast, because that's where the Africa Cup of Nations takes place, and sadly, the Gambia lose all three games in the group stage, so they get knocked out. But they kept it close for at least one of those games against Guinea, and we get to see a little bit of the culture down there, a little bit of the fans, and how passionate they are. It's wild to see how many people around the world love football, because I don't think you're going to find that with almost any other sport. Uh, you're not going to find that with like American baseball. Um, you're going to find it in some countries. Some South American countries love baseball. Cubans definitely love baseball. Japanese, but it's not like not everybody is obsessed with it, and it's not the majority of people. That's for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, so many people from around the world are obsessed with football. There's something about it. Maybe we'll do a whole history of football in one of these episodes, because one of my buddies was launching into it the other night, and it was really interesting to hear how it disseminated across the whole world, starting in England. And basically, it was because it was a factory league thing where um, different warehouses and factories would put together teams to play each other, and then when those workers went and worked abroad, they would start their own leagues in those countries. And so they would go down to the rest of Europe. They would go down to South America. They would go all over the place, and they'd want to keep playing football. And so they would start little leagues there, and then it just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. So I think it'd be really fun to do a whole episode on the dissemination of football throughout the world, and how it became I mean, it is the sport of the world. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, I know we here in America love our American football and love our basketball and baseball, but um, football is the sport of the world, and it's beautiful. I love it. I've grown to love it way more over the last few years. Um, And yeah, it's a sport that I don't miss anymore. Like, I don't miss a game, if I can help it, and I've become utterly obsessed. I've started playing Football Manager, which is a problem because that is a time suck of a game. Let's see. Yeah, again, I said this last week. These 45-minute episodes all seem that they all tell great stories, but they just seem a little disjointed for me. So there's just so many different things that happen in each episode. It feels like I'm just pummeling you with different analyses of like 5-minute sections, because there's not really a through story for most of them. The through story with this one is the international fans and international community coming together, and people from different walks of life all coming into one place to root for one squad. Um, and that comes up later with the Prince coming in, the Argentinians coming in, Mendy going down to the Gambia and having those fans love him playing for Wrexham and the Gambia. So it's yeah, I just don't like these 45-minute episodes. I wish they would have done the 25 to 30-minute episodes that they did the first couple seasons. I like that way more. That it's easier to review that. I can go a little deeper. Otherwise, these episodes would last so long. Like my episodes would last a very long time, and no one wants to hear me ramble on for an hour and a half about the beauty of a lot of these episodes, or the downsides of a bunch of these episodes. So that's yeah, that is one unfortunate thing that they did this season. Hopefully they receive some good feedback and they adjust and they come back next season with shorter episodes and more of them, which I like that far better. I get to watch it for a longer period of time. Um, they get to air it for a longer period of time. There's more episodes. There's more chances for them to make money, in my opinion. Um, I much prefer. What the heck? Sorry, I just got a notification on something. Anyway, I much prefer that than these 45-minute long episodes where they bounce around to a bunch of different things. I'd rather them, if they're going to do it this way, I'd rather them spend far more time talking about Mendy's time in the Gambia, African League of Nations or Cup of Nations. Because that would be more interesting. We'd get more depth. It would feel more personal rather than just a one hit and done. Uh, that's what I wish, because that they went down there and got a ton of footage. So I want to see more. I want to hear more from Mendy. I want to hear more from other fans down there that love Mendy. And it would have just been nicer if we could have spent 15-20 minutes of the episode just on that, 15-20 minutes of the episode just on the Argentinians. I think that would have been beautiful, and then just splice little updates throughout. Because the next one, I guess Wrexham AFC decided to team up with HP and some other company to write a children's book. Kids loved the players coming to read the book to them and hang out with them and sign books and sign jerseys and all that kind of stuff. It was adorable. Loved that. We then just get a rapid fire, like strangely odd multiple updates in a row. So Arthur will not go back to Arsenal in January. Will Boyle gets a red card. Parker gets a yellow. We lose to Newport. It was a strange little insertion of an entire game and the news of Arthur. So yeah, it was a little disjointed. And then, the worst possible thing to cover last year was that drought from the end of January through February, because we were just bad. And that's okay. The thing that I took away from this episode was Humphrey. They were all talking about Humphrey, Ryan, Rob, all of them were talking about how it was a rough time. It was the worst time they've had since they've owned the club and since since the takeover. And what really stood out to me was that all the criticism from the fans and the public calling for Parky's head and all that actually does get to them. Um, and I assumed it did before, but like seeing it in person and seeing it like on screen made it far more personal, made it far more real. Um, we've got to stop doing that. During that whole drought that we went through, the lowest we went was fourth place. Fourth place. And we were whining and people were calling for Parky to be fired and Mullen to be traded and all these things. I probably had a few things in there too. I mean, most of the time I was saying, let's just calm down. We're still doing great. But I'm sure that I had some critiques that I shouldn't have had, or that I jumped the gun a little bit. But man, it seems like such a stupid thing to call for people to be fired over a short losing streak. Um, have a little more patience and wait it out and understand where we are on the table. We were still in playoff position. And I know everybody in Wrexham seems to dread the playoffs. And that's fine if you want to keep dreading the playoffs, but that's not going to help you because at some point we're going to be in the playoffs somewhere. And, dreading it and thinking we're not going to win is not an ideal mindset for that. So maybe start trying to get over that and believe that we can win a playoff game, and maybe those droughts that keep us down in the playoff race or just below the playoff race, maybe those won't be so brutal when they happen. What does turn it around though is South Americans got flown into town. That whole sequence was amazing, seeing them get so emotional to come in and see the team they love play. And Prince William came in, which was controversial, of him taking the shot of whiskey and all that kind of stuff. I remember seeing all that that coverage on Twitter. Was very interesting to see. I don't really care about the royal family all that much. That's not my thing. I don't believe in royalty, really. I believe you earn your spots, and royalty is not something that I care that much about. And Rob also comes in town. He's worried about the players' mindset during the drought, which completely makes sense. He wants to come in and try to boost morale. And man, boy, does he. Accrington comes to town. Mullen gets a hat trick. We absolutely murder them. And Parky's pregame speech was, I mean, he wanted their throats. He wanted to destroy Accrington, and that's exactly what we did. And we all know what happened with Accrington. They fired their manager directly after that. Their owner, just a piece of crap, man, the way he did that. And they didn't cover that at all. They should have, because that was an abomination to like their club and their team, and completely disrespectful of the coach who'd been there for a long time, or the manager who'd been there for a long time. So yeah, it ends on a good note. We kind of blow through the drought. We get through it in about 10 minutes of this episode, and we don't have to relive that again. We can just move on to the good times where we end up getting promoted. It was a good episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It like I said, it was a little disjointed for me. I thought that it could have flowed a little better. I'm going to give it a B for the episode, but the parts that were really good were an A plus. So the whole South American story, the Argentinian story, phenomenal. Love that. We could have spent an entire episode just talking about that, or talking about that with them watching more games from abroad. And I just like 1 to 3 stories per episode. Not, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then looping in the first again. So like 5.5 stories all in the same episode. And they're doing that because they're 42-minute, 45-minute episodes. And it's just not as good as making it more concise and really diving deep into 1 or 2 storylines. I like that far better. So overall, I thought it was a fantastic episode. We got to look at this this thing again. Yeah. I mean, I'm obsessed with it. I wish I'd ordered 2 so I could keep it, but I'm going to take some good pictures of it to keep the pictures. That is so lovely. I love that they got the dragon so well inside the Texas shape of Texas. You can even see the Wrexham logo right there on the cowboy hat. It's friggin' beautiful. The jewels are a perfect match for the red that we have. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm obsessed. I, I should have bought two. They ain't cheap though, so wasn't gonna do that. All right, y'all. That'll be it for this week. We're gonna do another episode review next week. I'll be in Montana for the next 2 weeks. I'll be doing my episode reviews from up there. Then when I get back, we'll ship this off to Elliot Lee and see if maybe just that honor, that huge honor bestowed upon him as Texan of the Year, will get him to come on this show. We'll see. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Really appreciate y'all watching and listening. Can't wait to come back next week and talk to y'all again. We'll see you then. Peace. Search my soul with all your heart. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. And if you knock my soul with all your strength, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it.